now won 6 games in a row. Who says they both can't be successful at the same time? Oh, and Concourse B, which is going to be the only concourse, it's finally open. And although I've only seen pictures, man, it looks spectacular. First flight came in and they gave, I think it was Grizzlies T-shirts away to those who came off the first plane onto the new concourse. So congratulations to all of those who worked so hard to get that open. So the Tigers again last night got off to a great start in the game. They then saw the lead dwindle. Second half, they're down to 64-60. They're getting no calls. This happens on the road, but I mean some weird calls. Illegal pick. Harris with a high dribble. They called either a double dribble or a carry. I still don't know what that was. Just crazy stuff. And yet, this Memphis team kept their poise. They did not waver. They never, ever got it any closer than the 4. The Tigers' biggest lead was 17 in the first half. It was 15 at the break. And they were playing without their stars who were inside having foul trouble, so sitting on the bench, but they're inside guys, Williams and Duren, who hit 7 of the first 9 points. And they took him out of the game with foul trouble. At one point, I think the foul shooting disparity was 21-3. I mean, crazy stuff. That happens on the road, but man, it was weird. And yet, Memphis somehow was able to prevail by 7, 81-74. So against a top 50 defense in the country, Memphis has scored 80 both times on them. That's the 4th time in 6 games the Memphis offense has scored 80 points. Now, I know, J-Mo, as you looked at all the stats, you were very quick to point out the Tigers did a terrible job at boxing out. But let me remind you, when you say that,
they didn't miss many. The Tigers didn't miss many shots either to get their own offensive rebounds on either.
No, and that was 21-2. I'm trying to remember how many they got in the first half. So they had no, they didn't have that many second chance points. So a lot, all that came in the second half.
Really?
Those second chance points during the comeback. But some of that had to do with the fact that DeAndre Williams only played 23 minutes. Jalen Duren played only 19 minutes. So your best rebounders were on the bench because they were in foul trouble on a regular basis. And once again, Cincinnati likes to shoot a lot of threes, 29 in this game. So a lot of those times you get those long rebounds. And I'll say this, Wes Miller's team, even when they were way behind, they never quit in the game. Now, Memphis took them out of their game with pressure, and they turned the ball over 11 times. Most of those came in the first half because they could not handle the doubles that Memphis was throwing at them.
And certainly it made them trigger happy shooting threes, 24% from the game for a team that shoots as many as they do. I don't know what their season percentage is, but certainly higher than that if they shoot 21 a game.
Let me just say this, they do, because the 40% of their attempts come from three-point range.
Almost half their shots.
40%.
Jeez.
That's the Wes Miller thing with this team. He doesn't really have any good inside guys. And the starting center last night, by the way, did not play. The kid that transferred from Mississippi State, Abdul Adu, which, by the way, he played against Memphis in the NIT. He played in the game in Memphis. He's never beaten Memphis. He's 0 for 3.
That's so you know it's going to be a good night for the Tigers when he's on the court.
I guess so. Anyway, he wasn't on the court, and it was a good night. It's a quad 2 win. There's no bracketology changes yet. We'll see, because tomorrow it's Palm, right?
I believe Jerry Palm is tomorrow.
And
it might be Lou Nardi, too. He's early on Thursday or Friday last time I checked.
Yeah, so certainly before Memphis plays SMU, you'll see where they are. If they were to beat SMU, I don't believe they'll be the favorites in that game like they were yesterday at Cincinnati. I think SMU will be the favorite. But if Memphis were to win that game, it is no longer a question of, are you in the tournament? It will be a question of what seed will you be in the tournament.
And more so than that, I guess not more so than that because that's really what the end goal is. But to win this, if you go 3-0 on this road trip, that's remarkable.
Well, the worst you can do is 2-1.
Right.
And we were already saying
Exactly.
2-1 would probably get you great results. However, I've always said maybe the most important game was the SMU game, and I give it to you for this reason. You'd already beaten Cincinnati, so that was going to be a split if you lost it. Once you beat Houston, the Cincinnati game, well, you were kind of expected to win. You were the favorite. Now, so Penny actually felt more pressure, and I can tell you, and I even mentioned this to him on his postgame show. Penny, before the Houston game, was really jovial. In our pregame interview, he's joking around. He's really light-spirited. He gave long answers to the questions. It was fun. Yesterday in Cincinnati, he felt pressure because he was tense. His answers were shorter. And I could tell, and he admitted, he felt the pressure because of the expectations. He couldn't lose that game. Now, at SMU, that might be a little different story. But to me, SMU is the most important because SMU has already beaten Memphis. And if this league is to get multiple bids, will they get 3? Some people have 3 in, with Memphis being in already. I don't know if it gets 3. I think it will get 2. And I think it'll either be Memphis or SMU, which means this game is critical. Not as critical as the one if they play each other in the tournament, in the American Athletic Conference tournament in Fort Worth, which, heck, that's a home game for them. It's in Fort Worth. They got a home court advantage for the next 5 years, or however long that deal with Dickey Arena is, or however long Memphis is in the AAC. But so this becomes, I think, the most important game. The other thing is, I keep saying they're in, that if they don't lose on the road at USF, maybe even if they don't lose at home to Temple, that becomes a pretty important game. And it'll be the first time they see Temple. Temple, by the way, plays SMU tonight at home. Now, that would go a long way. If they were to win that game at home, Memphis would be playing SMU for second place.
I think I liked what you were saying about this being important because of the amount of bids that the league could get. If you can position yourself to be ahead of SMU, that's huge just in terms of how many bids the league gets. But I think more than that, this is Houston obviously is a big testament on the road. Last night's a big testament on the road. But after you won a couple on the road in a row, SMU becomes, it's almost like a tournament setting, right? To win 3 tough games, uncomfortable on the road like that. This could mean big things for, even to get in the, let's say if they're not set in stone to get in the tournament after winning this game, this is a good indicator for what the conference tournament could be like in terms of, if you're not in by then, positioning yourself, playing into the tournament and the conference tournament itself.
Well, I don't know if they get totally ahead of SMU because they would have split. Each would have won at home. Both of their RPIs, or their nets, are relatively close. I believe Memphis is now ahead of them. So that's a good sign in the eyes of the committee. Yeah, I don't know what the updated ones are because the net changes every day. But I know Memphis going into last night was 44.
Memphis is 40. SMU is 46 today.
Okay, so 40 and 46. Man, you're flirting with 3 American teams getting in now. Because 46 is about the borderline for that level of conference and seeding.
I feel like that's such a scary number to be at 40, 46. How much do you think Memphis would go up if they beat a team like that's a 46?
So if the team is 46 and it's on the road, now that could change with whatever happens at Temple. If they lose to Temple, they may not. But I'm almost certain quad 1 road is 50. So if they stay at 46, Memphis is already 4-2 in quads. That was a quad 2 win last night, which they needed because they were 1-4. So they're 2-4 now in quad 2 wins. But more importantly, if they win that game, now they're 5-2 in quad 1 wins. Holy smokes. You know how many quad 1 wins they had last year when they were flirting with getting in?
But even so,
0 and none.
Even so, I feel like I'm getting myself even worked up a little bit in expectations of winning this game, too. I still think they're in really good shape, just having won the last 2 games.
They might be. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying if there's only 2 teams into the tournament.
This is a big one, though.
And you've lost twice to SMU, they, by all rights, should be the team that goes in ahead of you. Now, if they get 3 in, that's a whole different story.
What if you okay, let's say they lose this game, but they were to beat SMU in the tournament. I know that changes the net in so many different ways.
Well, then that changes everything.
Right.
Because they would go the furthest. They would get to the championship game.
Right.
Because at this point, they would be 2-3, probably. Although, you know, if SMU were to beat Houston again, and they do play Houston in Houston, I don't think they will, but if they were, then they're in first, then Memphis plays Houston in the semis.
Then it's a whole different ballgame.
I mean, everything is – there's still plenty of basketball to be played, but it certainly is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting since the Tigers went on this run. And I think we need to point out – because I have a little concern about Elo's health. At the end of that game, I don't know if it was his ankle. My producer and engineer, Danny O'Brien, thinks it's his hamstring. They're not saying a thing. I asked Elo. He goes, I'll be fine, even though he was clearly – uncomfortable at the end of the game.
And he's been so big in their winning, more so than the stat sheet.
Since he's been back and they started this streak, in this streak, his ratio is 4.5 assists to 1 turnover.
He hadn't been turning the ball over at all. And like you said, 8 or 9 assists last night?
9 assists, 0 turnovers. 9 assists, 0 turnovers last night.
That's exactly what you're looking for.
When Elo has 5 assists, doesn't even matter how many turnovers. When he has 5 assists, their record now 26-6. There's crazy stuff. When Tyler Harris hits 3 or more threes, they're like 26 and 11 or 7 or something crazy.
Really?
I mean, it's almost like there's barometers all over the place.
Well, Alex's Lomax, though, is one that I think at least is tangible, especially seeing it. They are so much better with him on the floor. He's gotten so much criticism over the course of the year, and maybe it's fair, maybe it's not. All I know is that they are a much better team when that guy's on the floor contributing, in my opinion.
DeAndre Williams, with him in the lineup.
Undefeated.
No. But pretty good. Their record, because remember, he was on the floor when they lost the 2 games to Houston last year. I mean, it just took a while for him to get eligible, but they play like a different team with him on the floor. His energy, his leadership, he's a man. He's 26 years old. His record, the record for the Tigers with him in the lineup, I'll just tell you, without him in the lineup, they're 7-7. With him in the lineup, 30-7. 30-7. 23 games over 500. So he is critical. And now they got a starting lineup that looks to be comfortable, plays well together, gets off to great starts. They did it again last night, just like they did in Houston. So it was fun last night, and now they get to rest. I'm sure Elo will get in the ice bucket several times. And they don't play until Sunday afternoon in Dallas. And what a showdown that will be. And I'm rooting hard for Temple tonight.
That's plenty of time for an undisclosed leg injury to heal till Sunday.
You hope. So now let's go to the Grizzlies.
This is the game that I was far more engaged with last night.
Okay.
Not to diminish the Tigers game whatsoever.
Oh, sure. Not to diminish that at all. But you know, we got to have some eyes on that one.
Exactly. I was trying to get our bases covered. Yeah.
I like that. I truly do. So last night, Steven Adams does it again. You know, I think he just likes to beat up on the Pelicans because Valanciunas is there. and he wants to prove that was a good trade for Memphis, and it was a good trade for Memphis, even though, and I'm one of those. I loved Valanciunas. I knew what the strategy was behind the trade, and the strategy has worked out perfectly because it has allowed spacing for Ja to be even more dominant. It has made Jaren Jackson Jr. a better player. I think it's even, to some extent, allowed Bane to get better as a scorer and as an overall player. Adams, 14 points, 13 rebounds. And the thing he does that Valanciunas never did, I shouldn't say never, wasn't as good as a passer. He had 5 assists last night.
Really good passes too on some of those, and he was taken out of some assists. I think he should have gotten because the guy took an extra dribble or two and got another shot. But he set up a lot of scoring opportunities passing the ball.
Speaking of setting up, Tyus Jones starts the game because there's no Ja. I hope Ja's ankle is okay. We mentioned yesterday that he twisted it, backing into a media guy, a cameraman that was a little too close to the court, not back as far as maybe he should be. And Taylor Jenkins was pretty outspoken about how the league needs to address that and move those guys back or even change the way they do that. I don't know if you take the cameraman out there, away from there.
You know, they do the joystick cameras nowadays, like on top of the camera in the finals.
Sure.
Make it a joystick all the time. You know, I don't know if that's actually the solution.
I don't know that you could get the really quality shot. And those joysticks are TV cameras. They're not really photo. I don't think.
Oh, I thought he stepped on a cameraman like
doing a video?
Yeah, like the guy that sits next to the goal.
I don't know.
But it was right.
You've got newspaper camera people there too. So I don't really know. So, and I hope this is being real precautionary, that they're just going, hey, we got to make sure Ja looks good at the All-Star game. As you know, if Ja gets an MVP, he's getting a shoe deal. I think he may be getting a shoe deal anyway. He got that spot. I think that's the precursor to getting your own shoe. But we'll see. But it's important, I think, for Ja, for this national notoriety that he's now getting, this superstar status that he is beginning to enjoy. I think it would take a really, really big bolt upward, a rocket ship upward, if he were the All-Star MVP.
No doubt.
And I think that's within his reach if he's 100% healthy. So I'm hoping that not playing him against the Pelicans last night was precautionary.
It was listed as soreness, which is good.
And he was dancing around.
There you go. So 2 positives there.
So, yeah, it's probably that way. But Tyus Jones, this was great. I saw on Twitter a picture of, I don't know, I'm trying to remember the exact cartoonish caption thing, but I don't know if it had Tyus Jones' picture in front or if it was like a truck with Tyus Jones' name and number on it, and it was backing up to a pile of money because it's his last year with the Grizzlies under contract. He is a free agent, and he's going to make some cash because there's going to be a team or two that will start him, and he's not going to be a starter here. And it's important to have a backup. But if you're a good backup that can be a starter somewhere and make starters money, you're moving. You're leaving. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with Tyus Jones.
I would think so. And even if it's not a starter, he'll make considerable veteran bench money as well. Maybe along the lines of a Kyle Anderson kind of a contract or something like that.
I would think at least a Kyle Anderson kind of, and Kyle Anderson is another guy that is going to make some money. But I think Tyus Jones may end up making more money. But 27 points, 9 assists. That 9 assists was a magic number. 9 and 6. 9 assists for the 2-point guards, even though Tyus Jones, who never has turnovers, actually had 2 in that game.
He did. But he played longer. Give him.
He played 32 minutes. No, he didn't play longer. Alo played 33 minutes.
Well, there you go. But he played really well, and some of those nice pocket passes. It was just a great night.
He's just terrific, and he's that little floater of his at times when he's on. It is amazing. Jaren Jackson, 23 and 7. It was just a good night all the way around, and the Grizzlies have now won 6 in a row. They're 11.5-point favorites for their final game before this All-Star break. It's tonight at FedEx Forum against Portland. Who would have thought when this season began, this game, last game before the All-Star break, that Memphis would be an 11.5-point favorite? Of course, Portland just traded away their guard to the Pels, who again killed the Pels. McCollum had, 30 points in that game last night?
He played unbelievable. Their roster construction is something, I think it's a shame kind of how they've done it because they have C.J. McCollum, such a good player. I am in love with Brandon Ingram. And Jonas seems I love Jonas too. Nothing to say bad about Jonas because he wasn't like this for the Grizzlies. It might just be their scheme. He is in the way, in the middle of the lane, so much. Obviously, he's positioning himself for an offensive rebound,
right,
and that's a huge part of his game. But he is just in the way so much that it doesn't seem like they have any cohesion in what they're running.
Well, that's why Memphis moved him.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And that is exactly why. It was to create space for other guys in there. And if you've got a defensive guy and a rebounder, which is what Adams has become, and the guy can pass, for goodness sake, it really works out well. One last NBA note, and then we're already late for a break because we got to bring in our friend Stats Norsworthy. Brett will join us here in just a couple of minutes. Jarvis Greer will end the day as he always does on Wednesdays. But this, I think, is a cool note, and I'm sure you know it. Giannis last night, 50 points.
Unbelievable.
Do you know what his efficiency was?
No.
You don't? Wow. Statman, J-Mo?
I know. I have all the box scores here, and I still don't know it.
That's really unfortunate because, you're betting on all this stuff, for God's sakes. Think you'd know all this. Last night, Giannis got 50 points on the fewest attempts for anybody who's ever scored 50 in a game. Here's the efficiency you're looking for. 17 of 21. 17 of 21.
Shaquille O'Neal level of inside dominance.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
To get 50 on 21 attempts? Oh, my God. Guy's incredible. Anyway, love it. And Milwaukee they were really good. The other crazy thing is, how about Boston blowing out Philly with James Harden on the bench?
And Seth Curry gone and Drummond gone. It's just, role players are a lot more meaningful than I think people give them credit for.
48 points. I said this to you. I thought Philly gave up too much.
So do I. A lot of people don't, though, Dave, which is crazy to me.
But don't forget.
Ben Simmons wasn't playing.
The guy that you traded for, that you gave up all that for, didn't play.
Right.
So,
which is another factor, especially.
But is that a 48-point?
I don't think it's 48 points, though.
He might score 48 a few times, that's for sure. Anyway, we are underway. We've got to take a break. Great night for Memphis basketball. There is no question about that. Yes, spring is right around the corner, so get to Family Leisure now. Get started on your outdoor living space. Pools are in stock, and they are ready to purchase. All new 2022 patio furniture. They always change things, tweak them a little bit. They're always better, and always with Family Leisure, state of the art. So the furniture is hitting the floor daily. In-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Great deals on play gyms. So you want to be the dad of the year? You get that, or the mom of the year. Trampolines, grills, outdoor kitchens. Spring is almost here at Family Leisure. We pause for a second, and Brett Norsworthy, my buddy, joins us in just a minute.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for a new job? Contact Pro Resume. Sending out hundreds of resumes. No response? Contact Pro Resume. Tired of working for peanuts? Contact Pro Resume. Pro Resume's the resume expert in the Mid-South. Go to ProResume.biz or call 685-1950. The fastest way to a new job.
The spring sales event is rockin' and rollin' at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Want 43 MPG Highway in these crazy times? We Gossett in 2022 Mitsubishi Mirage, $239 a month or $16,715. 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, 27 MPG combined in an SUV, $349 a month or $26,010. Plus, redesigned 2022 Outlander. We Gossett at $398 a month. Not a lease, you own them. And get our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online anytime at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 72 months Mirage, NH001-803, MSRP 17465 Sport, NU003361, MSRP 27010, Outlander NZO 53093, MSRP 29615. Includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/22, dealer stock only.
If you're not regularly going to Central Barbecue, then you are being, I'll say it, un-Memphian.
That's not even a word.
I just made it a word. I'm drunk with power.
No, I think you just might be drunk.
Well, when this runs, that's entirely possible. But right now, I say completely soberly, if you don't eat the best barbecue in Memphis, then you're being un-Memphian.
Seriously, you can't just make up words.
I listen to your show every day. You make up words all the time.
Yeah, but not on purpose. We just get carried away. You're deliberately making one up.
Un-Memphian! Not going to Central Barbecue is like not cheering for the Tigers or the Grizzlies.
Un-Memphian.
See? Now you got it.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you replace those wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time. We've got a wide selection of wipers that can stand up to any weather, including the right ones for your make and model. We've even got more ways to get them fast, like our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in on this glorious Wednesday morning. You did hear the announcer man say our title sponsor is Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai has been with me for a long time, and I am so grateful because I really believe they have set the standard for the way car business should be done. You're looking for a new car, they've got a few, and here's the promise from Chris True, their longtime GM: you'll never pay more than sticker price. Not all dealerships in this era of a shortage of new cars, not all dealerships will stick with that pledge. Never more than sticker price at Homer Skelton Hyundai. And this portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. They take care of you. They're the home of the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up, where they clean up all the leaves and the dirt and the grime outside, and then they go inside and tune everything up so your system is efficient, it lasts longer, and your MLGW bills are much, much less. It's preventative medicine is what I like to say. And right now, too, if you get it with the heating inspection, they will take their state-of-the-art camera and take it into your system, look for any kind of cracks, and then they do a carbon monoxide test. That's all just thrown in when you're getting the winterized heating tune-up. It's the best. It's Conway, 384-3511. Speaking of the best, Brett Norsworthy, you hear him every day, 3 to 6 with Gabe on Sports Time. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you? I know you're doing well from last night's big win. I listened to almost all of you because, you know, I don't get ESPN Plus, and so I didn't catch the announcer crew that had such a tough time with the names. And, Dave, I think it just highlights we got to get announcers back in the building. We got to get them back at shoot-around. We got to get them back familiarized with sports information directors and with coaches and with players where they meet them and they know them and they learn their names, they learn their stories. These remote broadcasts, this has got to come to an end.
Well, Brett, I would love to say that you are right, but you are right. But in this particular case, those guys did go to shoot-around. They were on premise, and they just didn't do their homework, or at least the analyst didn't do his homework because he did not know how to pronounce the names. You know what?
And that's just pure dereliction.
Yes. And I'm okay if, first of all, and I want to tip my cap to Greg Gaston because he calls it right down the middle. We were told by the people who produce ESPN Plus for the University of Memphis, which is Channel 5. We were told, because ESPN told them, that these broadcasts are supposed to be down the middle. So if I'm doing anything on ESPN Plus, I act as if it is a national game, because technically it is. It's streamed. It can be seen anywhere in the world, for that matter.
And of course, you and Greg would, but not everybody follows that.
No, and those guys last night were not. The analyst is a former Cincinnati player who I don't think has done a lot of games, and so if you listen to the East Carolina win over Memphis in Greenville, I mean that guy that was he should have been fired for what he did, because that is nowhere close.
Or bought a set of pom poms.
Yeah, but we play it down the middle, and there's no question that the preparation. Most of those ESPN Plus announcers, 99% of them, are going to know how to pronounce a name. I don't know why the play-by-play guy didn't say to the guy at the break, here's the pronunciation for these names. You got to get it right.
No kidding. It's happened with me. I'll never forget. We're playing down in Austin against Texas, and Colt McCoy's little brother is the starting quarterback for Texas. And on pregame, I called him Chase, and his name was Case. We got to the break, and Richard Cross very nicely told me, he said, Brad, it's Case, not Chase. Get it right. And I appreciated that. I wanted to be told that. And I was just bumfuzzled and erred. But after you're told, you shouldn't err again. Now, in the SEC world, if you'll notice, if people watched last night, Ole Miss had on-site announcers, I mean, in about 8 or 10 games. And I understand it's a real tug-of-war with the SEC office and with the upper honchos at ESPN Disney. Disney's trying to cut costs and not travel the announcers, and the SEC is having a fit about it because that's not what they signed up for.
I think there's going to end up being somewhat of a compromise. This is what I think is going to end up happening based on some of the things I've seen and heard from other announcers. I believe the way they're doing television now, they can do a lot of all of the broadcast switching and audio. They can do that from Bristol. They got enough studio setups that they can do as many games as you need without having a TV truck there. Now, you got to pay for cameramen there and announcers, and that will be it. And that's who they will probably travel. And most local towns have cameramen that are trustworthy, so you're not going to have to worry about any quality there. They can absolutely do it beautifully in Bristol with those studios, all the switching, all the audio that you need, replay, all that stuff they can do right there with the director right there and a producer right there. And so that's no problem. And the announcers are going to be on site because, as you said, they need for their prep to go talk to the coaches, be there, and it's a lot better broadcast if you're there. I've done remote broadcasts, and they stink. I hate them.
For authenticity, for credibility, for reliability, for something breaking news off the camera, you need it there. But now the Tigers, Dave, they have positioned themselves where they're no longer scoreboard watching. Last night, that Florida loss was probably good for the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight they probably need Alabama to win. When Alabama wins, that puffs up the Tigers' resume even more.
Even Ole Miss.
Well, that was a loss. You don't get anything out of a team you lost to. You had to have beat them. But when you beat a team like Alabama, you want them to win out. You want Virginia Tech to win out.
Right.
And you sure want.
And they beat Virginia the other night, so that was a good dub. It keeps it as a quad one win. So you're absolutely right there.
And tonight you don't want SMU scarred up. You want SMU hale and hearty and kind of puffed up for the Sunday afternoon big matchup.
Well, wait. Let me ask you this. Do you want SMU to lose to Temple? Because then if you beat SMU, you are in second place.
No, I think you want SMU to come in highly thought of. And it's a little more panache with that win Sunday afternoon. You can have it both ways, even with the loss. But I think you want a big Sunday afternoon matchup with eyeballs on it and winning something special. And now 6 straight since the famous blow-up after the SMU loss and the Tigers rolling. Last night in the SEC, You saw the dynamism of the Tennessee backcourt,
Yep.
but I don't think it's enough to carry them all the way in March. It's enough for them to win a big game at Thompson Bowling against Kentucky. But Rick Barnes, we know through the years when he gets to the NCAA tournament and you get in those kind of antiseptic arenas, he hadn't been that good. I don't know if the Tennessee big guys are consistent enough. The young backcourt's fun to watch play though.
I agree with that. I think Fulkerson has been disappointing this year. Is that fair?
Very fair. And Fulkerson, I think he's been there since Ernie and Bernie were there. It's time for him to cash it in.
Well, this is it for him. I don't think he can get another year. Even I think this was his COVID year, so he's absolutely finished, I believe, after this year.
But
that backcourt
that was a critical loss for Florida last night. They're probably done. And we had this discussion I think 2 weeks ago, and Mike DeCourcy proven right again. That's why he's the best. He said it would only be 6 from the SEC, and now it looks like it's going to be just 6. And even that 6th team, I don't think it'll play itself out, but it could prop itself up a little more to have a better seed. And, Dave, you look at all these bracketologists, and you see the Tigers maybe in a play-in game in Dayton and maybe eventually move into that 10 spot. When you watch that 10 spot, what if Arkansas or Tennessee fell to a 7, and that was the first-round NCAA tournament game?
I'd rather play Tennessee than Arkansas. How's that?
I think Arkansas has a tough time scoring. I think the Arkansas-Memphis matchup would look very similar to the Houston-Memphis matchup. Rock fight, defense, kind of grind it out.
I really and truly believe, and it's easy for me to say this, and I'm doing it and I'm sure all the SEC fans are saying, well, as a homer, he's doing this with blue and gray glasses on. But I think Memphis was poised to beat Tennessee. They had handled Alabama. They were ready to go, and they were starting to really come together. And, the COVID knockout really was a knockout for the team for, more than that game. It was a blow because then they found out they weren't vaccinated, so that was a perceptual problem as well as an on-court problem. It was disastrous, and I thought Rick Barnes' attitude was awful, uncaring. He never once mentioned about the welfare of the student athletes who had come down with COVID. I've lost all my respect for Rick Barnes.
Dave, he largely knows most 20-year-olds that get COVID are going to be fine.
Right.
I mean, it's not like they had fourth-stage liver cancer.
Well, I would just tell you that when Ryan Silverfield found out about the Hawaii team, the first thing out of his mouth was, well, we certainly hope those kids are okay and that they're safe.
But Hawaii didn't have COVID. Hawaii hated their coach.
Well,
There's no pandemic for that.
But that's not what they said. They said it was because of COVID. They couldn't field the team because of
lied.
COVID.
They hated their coach.
Okay.
They didn't want to play the game.
I think you're right, but that, at least to me, that showed proper concern from a coach, and I did not hear that from the University of Tennessee coach. And I do think, they split the first 2 games. There's no way, while Barnes is the coach and Hardaway is the coach, that they're going to schedule a game because they don't like each other. And
maybe we'll get our NCAA tournament.
And maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think the NCAA committee, they know good TV. They know good matchup. We might get that game that was scheduled in December. We might get it in March.
Last question. Don't you think we can have 2 teams that are successful here? I think – I hope there's enough money.
We're having it.
Right. But I think we can share the wealth, can't we?
I think there's plenty big enough pie, and I think there are plenty big enough crossover fans, and then you get you got a lot of fans of other teams that are fans of both of those teams. I know a diehard Tennessee football fans that are diehard Tiger basketball fans and are diehard Grizzlies fans. Yeah, there's plenty of room for everybody to enjoy. There's no need to pit one against the other.
All right, I lied. One more thing. The Grizzlies, if they win tonight, and they're 11.5-point favorites to do so, would be 42-18. So
that's 700 basketball.
They would need to tie the franchise record of 56 wins, 14 wins in 22 games. They're going to shatter the franchise record, are they not?
They could, and they probably should. But I don't know if that is that big a goal. But it would be fun to have. But a win tonight has the Grizzlies at 700 basketball with 22 remaining and a week off.
It's a great story. You know what? Basketball in Memphis is becoming a great story.
Always has been.
There you go. Brett Norsworthy, I'll be listening to you at 3 o'clock today. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Dave.
That is Stats. He's brought to you in part by the good folks at Old Dominick. Yeah, that's our hometown distillery that has tours, that has a bar that is elegant but not stuffy, that has spirits all over town. You can get Old Dominick spirits. You could try their bourbon, and they got a new one coming out that's going to be terrific. You can try their spirits by going to any of your favorite places that sell spirits, like the Spirit Shop for me at Poplar and St. Nick. You know they're located right downtown at 305 South Front Street. That's where the bar is. That's where the tours would take place. But if you want to go to your favorite place, you can get a vodka. You can get that bourbon I'm talking about. You can find Old Dominick at so many places, but I urge you to go downtown and see what it's all about because it is really cool. That is your hometown distillery, Old Dominick. We'll pause for a second. When we come back, Jarvo from Action News 5. He's right around the corner.
You have opinions?
What do you hear? What do you say?
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
The global shortage on chicken is finally over, but there are still places that will tell you that it is hard to find, except for our good friends at Poultry Power. Poultry Power is currently delivering chicken in bulk to your home or business at prices lower than your local grocer or food distributor. Having a cookout or catering event? Tired of being told no by other food companies when you need chicken for your restaurant? Poultry Power can save the day. Visit www.poultrypower.org to place your order now. And remember, when others tell you no, Poultry Power has the power to tell you yes.
So here's what car buyers are facing right now. Most dealerships have little to choose from or maybe some selection, but nothing to get excited about. Not at Auto Universe Germantown. I'm looking at beautiful top-of-the-line late-model cars and SUVs right here on Winchester off 385. Auto Universe Germantown has more luxury vehicles than I've seen in one place in a long time. Lexus, Infiniti, Audi, Jeep. Looks like every brand. How about Mercedes, Nissan, Honda, Chevy, Toyota? Affordable luxury. No haggle pricing. Come on by, ask for Zach. He'll take care of you. There's no wait time for service appointments either right here at Auto Universe Germantown. Call Robert at 901-751-7300 and get in now. Brakes, transmission, tire rotation, battery checks. Top technicians for all makes and models. Even collision repair. Everything you want in one place. 7300 Winchester, just off 385. You're going to love Auto Universe Germantown. Ask for Zach and tell him you heard about him on Sports 56. Finest pre-owned luxury vehicles made affordable. That's eAutoUniverse.com.
You want a silencer for your gun or rifle, but don't want to have to wait a year to get approved? With Tactical Guns and Gear in Collierville, the electronic filing takes only about 90 days for approval. They do it all in one place with their state-of-the-art fingerprinting kiosk. And if you've never seen a silencer, they have over 100 in stock. So go by Tactical Guns and Gear in Collierville and get started on protecting your hearing with a silencer today. It also can help you reduce recoil and improve accuracy. Tell them Eli sent you.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
She's a good girl. We end Wednesdays with our friend from Action News 5. That would be Jarvis Greer. And Jarvis, I must confess, I couldn't help but think of you when I saw this story the other day, because you're like Ernie Banks, right? Who loved what he did so much, he would say, let's play two. And I know how much you love soccer. So did you see the story about 901 FC on March the 5th? They're going to play two. They're going to play Christian Brothers at 1
Uh-huh.
o'clock at Signiago Field, and then at 6 o'clock they're going to play the University of Memphis at AutoZone Park. How about that?
The joys of training camp, right? These
Yeah.
are the last two of their preseason schedule. So they'll play the local college teams, and now that it's great for 901 FC because they get to see all their players and make a last evaluation on them, and it's excellent for the college kids because they get to go up against professionals and what'll be a great setting, and the one at night at AutoZone Park will really be fabulous for the Tiger players. But no, they practice at CBU and they split their practice time at CBU and Mike Rose anyway. But no, it's a great thing all the way around. And if you like soccer, it's a great day for you.
It'll be interesting to see because 901 FC has lost a bunch. They lost that great forward, Murphy.
Oh, the score. Yeah. That was really tough. I know they wanted to keep him.
Well, he went to the MLS for big bucks. You can't blame him.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and that's the purpose of the whole thing, right?
To me, keeping Ben Pierman was big because I wasn't sure that would be the case, their head coach.
Well, they got Bierman back, and he's definitely proven that he took the formula that they needed to have and got the guys in the right position and let them do their thing. And I think that's what hurt the previous coach. I think he kind of moved them around, or when they were just getting hot, he'd take them out or make the substitution pattern wasn't the greatest. But Pierman came in, and he was an assistant on the previous coach staff, and he ingrained it as his own particulars of how he wanted the game played, and they get a playoff, their first ever playoff berth out of it. So that's really good.
All right. I just was talking with Brett about this, but I want to ask you because you have to figure out your airtime budget. We are embarking upon a time here, and I think this is going to happen, where both Memphis Tigers and Grizzlies, Memphis basketball, is successful at a very high rate. And if that is the case, is this city big enough to have both teams successful in terms of dollars for fans, divvying out even time to go to the games, because there's a lot of games going downtown? And what about for you, giving out minutes of airtime or newspapers with space? Can we have two really successful teams at the same time? Because it's not ever been the case.
Well, I think it was during Calipari era that they were good, and then the Grizzlies that had started, the core four had really started to start moving on, or coming on. When they got Zach Randolph, he was like the last piece. Well, they got Zach, and then they got Tony Allen, and that was the last piece that they needed that got them over the hump. And I think right when Tigers were one of those Sweet 16 years, and the Grizzlies, the core four started to get good. But the thing about it, as far as the fan dollar is concerned, most of the Tigers games will be out of town. When they go on make the NCAA tournament and start rolling those games are out of town. All of them will be out of town.
Right.
As far as the Grizzlies are concerned, you got playoff games that'll be here. You get a chance to, if you're plunking down the dollars and you want to see basketball, you'll see it here. And the Tiger fans will travel with the team. And what we've seen is there really isn't that much crossover between Tiger fans and Grizzlies fans when it comes to, exactly who you see at the games, because the crowds almost couldn't be more different. It's a lot older crowd at the Tiger games.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot younger crowd at the Grizzlies games. So, yeah, they'll be able to figure out. As far as what we do on TV, now that's when you get into the manpower issue and all the rest of that, especially if, Memphis, the Tigers make a deep run in the NCAA tournament and the Grizzlies get second round and keep going, because then you got now who's going where?
Right.
You know what I mean? And how many will do what? And then you got to start splitting up things like that. But they'll give us extra time, to cover that, because that's going to be the big story. Both of them are big stories, and wherever the big story goes, that's who's going to get the time. And in sports right now, it's a great time to be in Hoop City, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you got both teams are rolling, and that's what you want.
We're sitting here talking about Ja and realistically having a shot at being the NBA All-Star Game MVP. Who could have envisioned that before the year began?
Well, I mean, if you look at this kid, I mean, the things that he did when he was at Murray State, and, they took on the big boys, and they won a couple of games in the tournament with him putting on an absolute show. So that's why everybody was so excited when Memphis got number 2. Hey, you don't get Zion Williamson, but you got Ja Morant. This kid's got. It couldn't have happened at a better time because they were already positioning to move on from, Mike Conley, who was getting near the end of his time as part of the core 4. The core 4 had gone. It was like the core 1. He was like the last one left here, and you get that going. And then you see what you saw his potential his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year. Second year they make the play-in and actually get into the playoffs. And then now this year they take the big leap. They made the move to clear room so Ja can be Ja, and Ja is being Ja, and that is a starter in the All-Star game. So and he is a superstar. Don't let anybody tell you that this kid's not a superstar.
Oh, no,
he is a bona fide superstar.
I think, especially if he becomes the All-Star Game MVP, he's got a shoe deal. He's already got the Nike ad, right? But he's going to get his own shoe. I'm almost certain he's going to get his own shoe, which is a part of the trappings of superstardom, and he is well on his way. All right, last thing, Jarvis Greer from Action News 5. I
got to ask you, did you have fun last night?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to tell you, I kind of felt like this run was going to happen once these guys all came back together. And I don't know what Penny's going to do when Emoni Bates is healthy, because whose minutes are you going to take away? You're playing with such confidence and control and teamwork and sharing. Whose minutes are you going to take away to put Emoni Bates back in? But he mentioned him last night on that broadcast, not with me.
Yeah, I heard you.
But I don't know how he will reinsert Emoni Bates. It's going to be interesting if Bates does come back.
Well, he said that he's not going to rush him back, which it makes sense right now.
Right.
But if he does come back, if and when, I think instead of him being the one that's in there in the starting lineup, he'd be the one that would be behind a Landers Nolley or Lester Quinones coming in at that wing position. And then he'll be a catch-and-shoot guy more than, you try to make him a primary ball handler, because I think right now at his strength, he can come off a screen and take a shot. He can get his shot off over anybody. He's ought to be 6'10" now, since his dad says he grew an inch and a half. And, come off screens and put up shots like that. That way you're not trying to get him into a physical mishmash with the guys that are a lot older than he is.
I 100% agree.
Of that.
I'm with you. I think the guy as a catch-and-shoot guy on the wing, maybe at an elbow because he can elevate and shoot. If he's in with form and not spinning, he can be really, really effective. I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see how Penny orchestrates all of that. Let me finish
I'll put
with
it this
you.
way. I'd rather have him than not have him. I'd rather have him than not have him. So that's my take.
I will finish with you by saying you were right about this. The Olympics. I'm watching them. I can't help myself now. And the USA is now third in the medal count. So
I know they're moving on up.
We're moving right now. It's fun. It's really fun. Thank you, Jarvis. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Dave. Hope you have another good road trip in. You're coming up here.
Me too. Dallas could be terrific. D-Town.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. That is Jarvis Greer. He's brought to you in part because he's a sweet guy. He's brought to you by Dinstall's. And I got to tell you, Becky Dinstall had a great Valentine's Day. She wants to thank everybody out there. They sold moss strawberries. They sold so many turtlettes. It was one of those great years, even though we still couldn't even do our remote there. We had to do it virtually. It still was fantastic, and everybody loves Dinstall's. And let's face it, it is one of the signature foods of Memphis. It is the candy. There's other towns that they are known for their candies. Memphis, clearly the whole South, is known with Dinstall's. Starts with those strawberries, but the turtlettes, and of course, my favorite, the Cashew Crunch. You just can't beat it, and you got so many places you can go and buy it. Starting in Germantown and Collierville, where they make it in Pleasant View. My neighborhood, Laurelwood, and the new one downtown. You can't beat Dinstall's. That is for certain. A lot of fun today, that's for sure. We thank Stats. We thank Jarvis Greer. Tomorrow, we will continue our discussion. Like, did you see Sean McVay may retire from coaching at age 36, thinking about broadcast? He's pulling a John Madden.
Look, you lure that money in front of those guys. They're going to make this tough decisions.
Well, you know what? I think he's already making a lot of money. I think he's really trying to balance out. What are you going to do with life and family when you're working literally 16 hours a day, 17 hours a day? Remember the Dick Vermeil burnout? And John Madden knew that. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll talk with Russell Copeland, and we've got some other surprises up our sleeve for tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Johnny Radio. Can't wait to get in. He just peeked in. He's next. Have a great day, everybody.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue